Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I'm back here tonight with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here with your Monday Night Raw review and results for March 29th, 2021. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't really know how to start this review. I don't know if I should start ranting about the women's division. I don't know if I should start going off on Vince McMahon about how out of touch he is. I don't know if I should just talk about WrestleMania and how this build has been an absolute fail. There is absolutely nothing positive to say about Raw. Raw is completely unwatchable, completely unbearable. I didn't even watch the show last night, people. I didn't. I just, kept up with what was happening on Twitter. Really. And then I saw the highlights. Because this is absolutely pathetic. You have the audacity to advertise and market this WrestleMania as, oh, WrestleMania back in business, right? And this is a huge WrestleMania because you're going to have it 2 nights in an arena or in a stadium with 45,000 people? That's the capacity we're hearing right now. And this is what we're getting. Everybody in the sports world is going to have eyes on WrestleMania in 2 weeks because it's 2 nights. It's going to take up the entire weekend. There's nothing else going on in sports. NFL is over for right now. NBA, they're still in the regular season. And there's nothing else. There's nothing else that's going to be bigger than WrestleMania that weekend. And this is what we're getting. Your first big show in over a year with live fans telling everybody that, we're back. Things are getting back to normal, right? There's a light at the end of this tunnel of this horrible pandemic, and this is the build we're getting. SmackDown, I say this every week. I'm a broken record. SmackDown, some weeks they're bad, but most weeks they're decent. Every once in a while they put out a banger show, but most weeks they're decent. Not perfect, but decent, watchable. Raw is completely unbearable. There is nothing of substance on this show. Everybody is booked like crap. Your champions look like complete pussies. There is nothing special about this show. The commentary team is terrible. Storyline, logic gaps, right? It's everything about Raw is just absolutely horrific. There's nothing positive to say about it. You have freaking AJ Styles playing Pictionary with the New Day as your build-up for your Raw Tag Team Championship match. You have Bobby Lashley as your WWE Champion trying to hire a hitman that will result in Baron Corbin from SmackDown. Who the hell wants to see Baron Corbin on TV in the first place? It's already unbearable watching him on SmackDown go up against the Mysterios or Sami Zayn or something like that. Now I gotta watch Baron Corbin involved in the WWE Championship match? Really? That's what we're doing? Because we all know where this is going, right? Next week, Drew McIntyre is gonna face Baron Corbin in the main event. In the main event of the go-home show to WrestleMania from Monday Night Raw. You're gonna give me Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. And you have Bobby Lashley looking like an absolute pussy, right? Needing to hire a hitman. He didn't need no hitman to take out the entire Raw locker room over the last year. But all of a sudden, he needs a hitman to take out Drew McIntyre? Really? That's how we're booking our champions now? And then you break up the Hurt Business. WWE breaks up another faction. This is the way it is. They bring, 2, 3, 4 people together, keep them together for about, 6 to 8 months, sometimes maximum of a year, and then they break them up for no reason. Why the hell did you break up the Hurt Business? A couple weeks ago, they were on top of the world. They held most of the gold on Raw. The Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin were the Raw Tag Team Champions. Bobby Lashley was the WWE Champion. But, MVP looks like the best manager in the history of the company, right? And 2 weeks later, the Hurt Business is broken up. Why? And now what? Do you expect Alexander and Benjamin to get better because of this? You expect them to be booked as an actual tag team without Bobby Lashley and MVP by their sides? How long till they're back in catering? I give it 3 weeks, max. And that is sad, because we all know how good Alexander and Benjamin are. More logic gaps. Oh, you have Asuka looking like a lapdog to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley. And for all you guys who've been complaining, because I'm like, I gotta go on like a 20-minute rant about this every single week now with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Stone Cold Steve Austin said something. I'll pull up the article here in a little bit. But Stone Cold Steve Austin said something about Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. So I'm very, very curious to see how you guys respond to that. Because it's one thing, like, I'm just a podcaster, right? You know, I got nothing better to do in my time. So I sit over here ranting on YouTube for you guys to enjoy. You know, consume my content. I get paid for it. You know, we all win at the end of the day. But it's another thing when one of the greatest superstars of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he comes out and he says what I've been saying now for years. And we'll talk about that. But you have Asuka looking like a lapdog to Rhea Ripley. And I don't know if Asuka got injured again last night. I don't think she did, but I wouldn't be surprised. But, you know, it's just, everything is bad. The Alexa Bliss defeat Randy Orton storyline. Randy Orton's been saying the same promo now for the last 6 months. 6 months. And the thing is, I like Randy Orton. I like the feed. I like Alexa Bliss. But I'm so tired of this nonsense, bro. So tired of it. What else? What else happened on this show? You had Matt Riddle losing Cleed to Sheamus. So he loses Cleed to Mustafa Ali the week before, which sets up their match at Fastlane. Now he loses to Sheamus Cleed again. So 2 times in the last 3 weeks, Matt Riddle is losing Cleed on Monday Night Raw. Just so they can say, oh yeah, this is how we're setting up, you know, our title matches. Yeah, just have your champion lose on a random edition of Raw. It's a, don't do a tournament. Don't do anything to build up a number 1 contender. No, let's just have the champion lose clean. Because, you know, our champions don't matter. You know, just because they have a belt, they don't have to be built strongly. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. There is nothing of substance on this show. Nothing of substance. You have The Miz. The Miz, who less than a month ago was your WWE champion. A couple weeks later, the guy's in a bunny costume filming a hippity hippity hop hop music video with John Morrison for his match with Bad Bunny, who no one cares about. I can't make this up. I'm looking through the notes right now. I'm trying to find something positive. Braun Strowman's going to face Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. That's the match he chose. And I understand, yes, Braun Strowman didn't actually choose it. It's still to be creative. But that was the best you could have done? I hate steel cage matches to begin with. Now I have to watch what at WrestleMania with Strowman and Shane McMahon? Really? Just to watch what? Shane jump off the steel cage? Ridiculous, bro. There was nothing of substance on this show. Nothing. It's sad. It's sad that this is what we're getting 2 weeks before WrestleMania. 2 weeks. You know, WWE doesn't care. They show you that they don't care. They put it together matches in the most lazy way possible. There is no story, no build-up. People are playing Pictionary. That's how we're building up title matches now. There's just no care anymore with this company. And it's really sad to see. It truly is. But, hey, you know, right? Rhea Ripley becoming champion and Bianca Belair winning the SmackDown Women's title is going to fix everything. It's going to fix everything, guys. You guys are a bunch of clowns, really. And honestly, if I see like anybody try to say anything positive about this show in the comment section, I might just block you and ban you from the channel. Because really, I'm not in the mood to entertain your nonsense. Because I see all your comments, right? I can ban you like the snap of my finger, faster than Thanos did in Infinity War. But, you know, I choose to entertain most of you guys' nonsense in the comment section. But it's just pathetic. It's just pathetic. I really don't want to rant. I don't want to lose my voice. I don't. But this show is just absolutely atrocious. And if you can't see that, you are just as blind as Vince. 2 weeks to go to WrestleMania. And this has been probably the worst WrestleMania build of all time. It really has. There is, other than maybe 2 or 3 matches, that's all I care about for WrestleMania. There's only about 2 or 3 matches I generally give a shit about. I would say probably the Universal Championship match, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, and I can't even think of a third one right now. I honestly can't think of a third one. Asuka and Rhea Ripley would probably be the third one. Everything else on this card, I couldn't give a shit about, to be honest. I couldn't give a shit. Really. Maybe Biggie and Apollo or, Rollins and Cesaro. But, I'm not losing my mind, super excited for those 2 matches. Right. But it's just disappointing. I really thought there was a small chance that WWE was going to go, all in this year and actually give us the best possible WrestleMania, knowing what everybody has gone through over the last year with this pandemic. But no, we've gotten quite possibly the worst WrestleMania build of all time. And I don't know if, WrestleMania is going to be a good show or it's just going to completely flop on its face. I don't. But, we're going to go through Raw tonight. I'm going to tell you guys why this show was so bad. If you guys couldn't tell already, but whatever. But as always, guys, thank you guys for joining me on the podcast. If you guys enjoy, make sure to hit that big red button down below, subscribe. Also, click the bell right next to that so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Check out the SmackDown review if you guys haven't already. We talked about in depth how WWE has messed up Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And I remind you guys once again why Bianca should not be winning at WrestleMania. And I will probably mention it again at some point in this podcast, most likely when we get to Rhea Ripley and Asuka. But we also talked about how Daniel Bryan has been added to the Universal title match, making it a triple threat. And I read this weekend that mainly that was because Vince saw how old Edge looked. And like I've been saying, I'll just quickly say it here. I've been saying for months, Edge should have never been, booked to face Roman Reigns to begin with. The only reason why it was done is because Vince and his crew got horny backstage. And they were like, oh yeah, this is a dream match for so many. Let's do it. They didn't look at the logic. They didn't look how it made sense. Edge doesn't need to be in the title picture if we're being 100% honest. I would rather just see Edge face AJ Styles. Right? I feel like WWE should have done that instead. They should have had Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, Roman versus Daniel Bryan, and then have Edge versus AJ Styles or Edge versus Seth Rollins. One of those 2 matches. Edge is not needed in the title picture. He's not. I know you have the whole story of Edge being, 10 years after he had to retire and all that good stuff. But still, I'm not interested in Edge as champion. I'm not saying he would suck. I'm not saying that at all. But it's not something that I'm ripping my hair, I need to see it. I feel like the championship should go to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan deserves one last big championship run before he retires. That's my personal belief. Edge should have never been put in the Universal title match. And now WWE's realizing that. This is the thing. Because it said in the article that it was Vince who was saying that Edge was old. You didn't see that before? You didn't see that with Edge in the Royal Rumble. You didn't see that with Edge versus Randy Orton at Backlash. You didn't see that with Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania last year. You didn't see that when Edge made his legendary return at WrestleMania or at the Royal Rumble before that. It took all this time for you to realize that Edge looks old and he shouldn't be really in championship contention? This is what I'm saying, guys. This is what I'm saying. I spit facts. My job here is to educate you guys. For those of you who listen to the podcast, I've been saying this for months now. And now you have Vince McMahon finally realizing it. Just proves once again how out of touch he is. He doesn't make decisions based off logic. He makes decisions based off emotion. He got horny for Roman Reigns and Edge, and it took him, till Fastlane to realize that they messed up, and they had to put Daniel Bryan in there. Like I said, I still have no idea who wins the match. I'm rooting for Daniel Bryan, but right now we have no idea who's going to win that match, especially now that Edge is a heel. Anything could happen. But it is something to keep an eye on, and, we'll just have to, wait and see how that all goes down, right? But I just wanted to quickly mention that. Also, I'm going to keep mentioning this. Bayley still doesn't have a WrestleMania match. And I know some of you guys will be like, oh, Bayley's on SmackDown. Why are you talking about it? It needs to be stated. It needs to be stated. All you guys are talking about Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, even though they've been booked like utter garbage and they don't really deserve to win their matches at WrestleMania. They don't, if I'm being 100% honest with you. But Bayley, one of the greatest of all time, still has no match for WrestleMania, and here we are, less than 2 weeks away from the show. Yeah. Same thing with Charlotte. I don't know. Maybe they throw together a Bayley versus Charlotte match. I don't know. But yeah, Charlotte, I know she had COVID, but she was at the Thunderdome last night. All the reports said she was at the Thunderdome, and she wasn't added to the Rhea Ripley Asuka match. I was very surprised. Still, there's 1 week left. That could definitely change, but hey, I don't know. So I just quickly wanted to mention that. The fact that Bayley's not on the card, I don't really care about Charlotte, but the fact that Bayley's not on the card for WrestleMania and we're a week and a half away is absolutely shameful. But y'all want to keep focusing on Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, who honestly don't deserve to win at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. But, I just wanted to mention those two things. But finally, let's get into Raw tonight. And I'm going to be honest. For the most part, this is going to be all negativity. I don't know if there's really anything I could say positive about this show. I'll see. We'll see if there is, but right now I don't expect it. Anyway, the show opens up with the Hurt Business, right? So MVP stated that Lashley promised to give a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania to whoever takes out McIntyre. Here's the first thing, right? Here's the first thing. There's already something wrong. Why the hell is Bobby Lashley looking for someone to take out Drew McIntyre? Why? We're talking about Bobby Lashley. I have said on this podcast so many times, especially since the pandemic, I have said that Bobby Lashley has been booked as one of the best superstars on the entire main roster. It's probably him, McIntyre, Sheamus, and Roman Reigns. Those have been the best booked male superstars in all of WWE. And now all of a sudden, you want to go back on everything you've done with Bobby Lashley, and now he's looking for someone to take out Drew McIntyre when Lashley's been taking out people all year long? That's how he got to this level? What? And I see some people saying, oh, because they want to make Bobby Lashley the heel, right? Because a lot of people, were cheering for Bobby Lashley when he won the WWE champion, cheering his journey and how long it took him to get there. And yes, you can make an argument that Bobby Lashley deserves to be cheered. I'm not complaining about that at all. But why are you making Bobby Lashley do something that's not in line with his character? There's no reason for Bobby Lashley to need someone to take out Drew McIntyre. That's something he did himself at the Elimination Chamber. That's how The Miz became the WWE champion. And all of a sudden you're going back on it? For what? What sense does that make? That goes against everything that Bobby Lashley stands for. The guys have been one of the most dominant heels in the entire company, and now you want to go back on everything you've done with him for no reason. Makes no sense. And then, what's worse is, they broke up the Hurt Business in this segment. So what happened is, MVP claimed that McIntyre had already had his time at the top and it was time for someone else to get the opportunity, and that was the reason they were doing this. So Lashley then turned his attention to Cedric and Benjamin, and he ripped into them for losing to McIntyre in a handicap match. I talked about this last week. WWE makes its superstars look stupid, especially when they do these handicap matches, because I don't care who it is. Most of the time, you should be winning in a 2-on-1 handicap match. It's that simple. But all of a sudden, MVP gave them a chance to speak, and Benjamin and Alexander got upset that they were doing this in front of everybody on national TV, right? And they didn't do this in the back. So all of a sudden, brawl broke up. Benjamin shoved MVP because MVP got up in Benjamin's face, and And then lastly, destroy the former tag team champions. So then we see Benjamin Alexander leaving the ring, and lastly, an MVP said that they were cut from the Hurt Business. So wow, nice. That's what they do. And here's the funny thing: as I'm recording this, Pilana Productions, you guys know him. I like him. He's a really cool YouTuber. Pilana Productions just posted right now, legit. Rest in peace to Hurt Business 2020 to 2021. It's sad. It's sad. Here you have one of my favorite groups. And you guys have heard me said this. The Hurt Business were one of the best things on Monday Night Raw during the pandemic. Especially when they, formed during the early stages of the WWE Thunderdome last summer, around SummerSlam time. They were the best thing on Raw. They did have some ups and downs, like the feud with Retribution was awful, right? But for the most part, the Hurt Business were incredible. And I was like, yeah, I was so happy when all four of them got drafted to Raw. They weren't broken up. But here we are less than, 6 months later, and they are now completely done as a group. Why? Why? Do you have actual plans for Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander? Do you plan to book them as the next great tag team? Are they going to be booked like the New Day and the Usos and get yearly tag title reigns? Is that what we're supposed to expect from the Hurt Business going forward? No, I don't. How long till Alexander and Benjamin are back in catering? Because remember, Alexander was doing nothing as a babyface. Benjamin was even on TV. And then they paired them with Bobby Lashley and MVP, and the connection just worked. It took too much for Alexander to join the Hurt Business. Remember how slow a process that was, but it was great. At the end of the day, it worked. I love seeing them backstage berating employees while, dressing in their Superfly suits, just getting stuff done, being all about that business and getting paid in gold. But now look at them. Why? Why did you break them up? Why did you took the tag team championships off them to give them to the New Day again? All right, and then you have them lose to Drew McIntyre in a 2-on-1 handicap, and now they're done. Why? I really don't get it. I'm trying to wrap my head about it. Why does WWE feel the need to break up a tag team every 6 months? Every 6 months. No matter if it's Heavy Machinery, right? Or no matter if it was Enzo and Cass back in the day. They just broke up Retribution, who was buried from the start because WWE never booked them properly. Now you have the Hurt Business. And then we end up at the end of the day with the same tag teams. I love the New Day, I love the Usos, but they're always the last people standing. They have to pick up the pieces. Imagine if WWE one day decided to break up the Street Profits, bro. That would be the day. I don't know if I could ever watch another tag team match on WWE television if they broke up the Street Profits for some random reason. Because at this point, you never know with this company. They can break up anybody at the snap of a finger. And it's sad. They don't value tag team wrestling. This is why the Revival are gone. This is why Gallows and Anderson are gone. Talented tag teams that are thriving now in AEW. That should be thriving in your tag team division. Making your shows better. But you keep breaking them up for what? To make, 3-4 weeks of storytelling? Just so they can then go right back to catering? And then how long? How long till you put Cedric Alexander with another random tag team partner? Right? Like Cedric Alexander and, Ricochet. How long till we see something like that? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's sad that WWE has broken up another tag team, especially a faction that was great like the Hurt Business. Because I feel like almost all of us would agree that everyone loved the Hurt Business. We loved their seriousness. We loved their dress. We loved their appearance. We loved everything about them. And there was no reason for you guys to break them up. Even after they lost the tag team titles to the New Day. There was no reason to break them up again. But here we are. And it's just sad. It really is. A great tag team like that, now gone. And I don't know. I don't know. This was a horrible decision, and almost everybody said it. The only thing you'd say is Benjamin looked great in the intensity. He suplexed Bobby Lashley here for a sec before Lashley, threw him out of the ring, of course. right? And it looked great. And it would actually set up a match between Lashley and Shelton Benjamin later on in the show. But I was just like, it should have never came to this to begin with. Should have never came to this to begin with. And I hate it. So, later in the night, right, Benjamin rushed Lashley to deliver punches to the body. He took down Lashley with a waist lock and, delivered some knees. So then Lashley dropped him with the flatliner. Then he rammed Benjamin into the ring post and then hit him with a big spear. All right. Then he was able to chase Alexander away from the ring. And then he hit Benjamin with pay dirt for a close 2 count. So then after Benjamin kicked out, Lashley applied the hurt lock and got the victory. So the match wasn't terrible. It's just it should have never came to this. We know how good Benjamin is. We know how good Alexander is. But we have no faith that WWE is going to book them correctly. And that's the big thing. There was no reason to split the Hurt Business here. This was supposed to be a faction that should have stayed together for years and years to come on WWE TV. You actually have employees from WWE tweeting, I'm going to put out petitions to reform the Hurt Business starting right now. Because it should have never happened. It should have never came to this point. And I'm not saying the Hurt Business can't be brought back together, but they're probably not, if we're being honest, if we know this company the way we know them. And it's sad. Because I think we can all agree we all loved the Hurt Business. And now they're broken up just for WWE to do something random. To think, maybe this will give us a spark in the ratings. Let's break up one of our best factions. Let's break up one of our best teams. Makes no sense to me. I really would have loved to be in there and see what's WWE's logic when they decide to break up a tag team. Because it's shameful. It's shameful, and there's really nothing else to say about it. All right, so next up we had Riddle versus Sheamus. And from the second they booked this match last week, I knew what the result was going to be. Because WWE is lazy. Let's just flat out say it. They are lazy. And they don't know how to book feuds properly. We all knew that Sheamus was most likely going to be the number 1 contender for Riddle's U.S. Championship at WrestleMania. I said it for weeks. Sheamus, if he's not going to be facing Drew McIntyre for the WWE Champion, because remember, we thought that for a time, right? Most likely, especially with the level of work that Sheamus has been putting on, he deserves a championship match. So he's going to go after the U.S. title. But instead of doing a number 1 contender match or doing some kind of tournament or battle royal or anything like that, they decide, let's just do Sheamus versus Riddle and have Sheamus beat Riddle clean. And the match was great here. I knew it was going to be a great match. Riddle was backstage and Riddle was backstage where Sheamus attacked him by throwing him into a crate, and the two went out of here. It was a great match. We know how good Sheamus and Riddle are together in the ring. They have great chemistry. So, just going forward a little bit, we see Sheamus was in control after the break, and Matt Riddle countered Sheamus's white noise with a backflip belly-to-belly suplex from the top turnbuckle, which looked really good. Sheamus was barely able to get to the bottom rope to break a triangle choke. He hit white noise and an Alabama slam for a pair of 2 counts. And then we see Sheamus was able to eventually hit the bro kick to get the victory and basically seal a championship match for himself at WrestleMania against Riddle, right? After the bell, they tried to make you, remember, Riddle's the champion, right? Because Riddle blasted Sheamus after the match, tried to say that was, payback for Sheamus attacking him before the match, but I wasn't having it. Your champion should not be losing clean. I say it all the time, people. Your champion should not be losing clean. I don't know, what else do you want me to say? What else do you want me to say? It's ridiculous that this is the way WWE believes that their number 1 contenders should be formed. Because back in the day, The Rock, The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, they weren't losing random matches on Raw. No. They would actually build up a feud with their opponents. Backstage attacks, winning number 1 contender matches, things of that nature. No, but now WWE's like, oh yeah, we're lazy. We gotta give you a quick reason why this person deserves a championship match. So let's just pin them in a tag team match. Let's just get them pinned, in a one-on-one match. It's crazy because we just saw this with Riddle just a couple weeks before with Mustafa Ali. That's how they had their match set up for Fastlane. And it's like, why? It shouldn't be the case. It should not be the case. And I hate that this is the way WWE chooses to book their matches. I really do. And WWE needs to learn that this is not the way. It's not the way at all. But either way, later in the night, or actually this was on YouTube, Sheamus actually cut a really good promo. Really good promo. I've been saying this. Sheamus has been one of the only good things about Monday Night Raw. He's been one of the best booked superstars, and he looks like a beast. I love Sheamus. So he cut this promo on Matt Riddle. We have a 5-year-old hipster as our U.S. champion, a guy who can't get 2 sentences right as our U.S. champion. And Sheamus said that he was a 2-time United States champion, and he used that title to get himself back to the top. And now he wants to do that again. So Sheamus is saying, hey, I want to be WWE champion. I want to be world champion. But since I can't be champion right now, I'm going to take the next best thing. And I'm going to use that to get myself back to the top. And I was like, I love this. I love Sheamus' mindset here. And you guys also got to remember here that Sheamus is one of the longest reigning U.S. champions of all time. All time. When he won that title, I think back in 2014, 2015, right? He held that title for nearly a year, if you guys don't remember. And it was great stuff. Great stuff. And I'm going to say right here, Sheamus needs to win at WrestleMania. He deserves it. He has put a lot of people over. And he's been, doing some of the best work of his career. So definitely, I think Sheamus deserves a reward, and giving him the U.S. Championship, especially putting on another banger with Matt Riddle at WrestleMania, should do the trick. Definitely, because I feel like it's going to make Matt Riddle look like a bigger star, especially this being his first WrestleMania. I feel like it's going to make him look like a bigger star if he has that banger of a match with Sheamus. And Sheamus is the perfect heel for Matt Riddle and other babyfaces to challenge in that United States Championship division until you're ready to put Sheamus back going after the WWE Championship. All right, but really good stuff here from Sheamus. The match was good. I just hate that... Sheamus had to pin Riddle clean. Like, there's other ways to set up a match between them at WrestleMania. Your champion does not always have to lose clean. That is a terrible way to book matches because it makes your champions look human. You want your champions to look as strong as possible because then when they get beat, it makes it feel more special. It doesn't feel special, or it's going to feel less special if Sheamus does beat Riddle at WrestleMania, because we just saw him beat Riddle a couple weeks before. And Riddle's supposed to be the champion. The champion's supposed to be the guy with the advantage. But no, it doesn't feel like Riddle has the advantage. He doesn't even have the momentum. And that should not be the case. That should not be the case. WWE really needs to get their head out of their asses and stop with this whole, we have to have our champions lose. It's a terrible way of doing business because your superstars look less like superstars in the process. So going from, a bad decision, we went to an even worse segment. So we had Shane McMahon come out with Lies and Jackson Riker, right? And basically they said they had some information from Braun Strowman's childhood. This was clearly fake. You guys know I've trashed on this storyline in the last couple of weeks. There's no reason for us to be getting it at all on the road to WrestleMania, and it's a waste of everybody's time. It's horrific. So basically, they had a fake or doctored, report card, right, from Strowman's 5th grade. It said he had D's in every class. I think he had like a D plus in gym. And then, he had like D minuses in other 2 classes. Who cares? And then, there was like comments about how Braun just getting along with others. Braun has trouble understanding vocab, things of that. Basically going off the whole stupid storyline nonsense we've been seeing. And it's just like, if I'm Shane McMahon, right? If I'm a McMahon, I'm really digging this storyline. Am I really having fun going out there? I guess, I guess you can make the argument that getting the call of Braun Strowman stupid is cool, but either way, it's still bad. It's terrible. It's terrible. This is the way we're setting up WrestleMania storylines, right? For freaking having Shane McMahon stand out there with a fake report card just to try to make his point that Strowman's stupid. They also had an image of like Strowman's head and like 2 + 2 = 5, right? I'm not stupid, was there written on the board, and I'm just like what? There's no way you can actually sit there backstage and think, oh, this is good shit. Oh man, Shane, I love you, but my boy, go out there and deliver. It's terrible, and it's a waste of time. So clearly, this would lead to a match with Strowman and Riker. Strowman came out, he destroyed Riker. Like, there's nothing to talk about with the match here. Riker's a jobber. Nobody gives a shit about him. So he got hit with the running power slam. They still have those terrible sounds where Strowman runs around the ring, and they have like the queued up train express. It's absolutely horrific, and I'm just like, really? This is what we're doing? I was hoping that after last week they would get rid of them, but no. It looks like WWE's just doubling down with the train effects. But then after the match, Elias and McMahon teamed up on him, but Strowman was able to overpower them. And Shane O'Mac bailed, and then Strowman said that at WrestleMania, there would be nowhere for Shane to run because they would be fighting in a steel cage. A horrific stipulation. Really. A horrific stipulation. I would have rather Strowman say a Hell in a Cell match, even though, I will say this, we know for a fact, Strowman and Shane McMahon is not worth a Hell in a Cell match. We know that for a fact, right? Like the way especially with the way the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is booked these days. They book 3 or 4 random Hell in a Cell matches just to fill out a gimmick pay-per-view, which is terrible. You should not be getting a Hell in a Cell match unless the feud calls for it. And this feud doesn't call for it. But if Strowman trying to keep Shane McMahon from leaving, right, and Hell in a Cell would do more justice. A steel cage match? That's what you choose? How easy is it going to be for Elias or Riker to climb over the steel cage or come through the door? It's horrific. Plus, most steel cage matches are terrible. You don't see steel cage matches on pay-per-views. You usually see a steel cage match on a Raw or a SmackDown. And now you're going to give it to me at WrestleMania? I'm supposed to have some kind of care for that? No, it's terrible. It's not good. It's not good. And WWE should be ashamed of themselves that we're even getting this storyline, and that's the stipulation that they choose. Out of all the stipulations in the world you could have chose, you chose this one. A steel cage match, really. Yeah, you're just going to give me... The only thing to look forward to, really, is seeing Shane McMahon jump off the steel cage. Because that's clearly, how Shane's always trying to kill himself. That's the only logical high-flying spot he can do. He's going to jump off the steel cage at some point. And it's just like, really? That this is what you decide? And I hate that this is WWE's logic, bro. I hate that this is WWE's logic. It makes me sick. Sick that this is what they decide. A steel cage match. Great job. Great job. I'm really proud of that one, man. You really got them. Oh, man. Going from worse to horrific. So we went from a terrible ending to a match to a bad segment to an even worse segment. Hey, hey, hop, hop. So we had a special edition of the Dirt Sheet with The Miz and John Morrison, where they were going to introduce their next music video. Morrison was wearing this, orange coat, which I'm not going to lie, he looked pretty cool in it. And, I still hate how Morrison's forced into this horrific team with The Miz, because John Morrison's actually talented. But anyway, they slid some more insults at Bad Bunny. They played the video, and it was an actual 4-minute full music video. So it wasn't like 1 or 2 minutes. It was 4 minutes. And they filmed all of it in the Thunderdome. In it, you have Miz and Morrison in white suits and white bunny suits just doing these stupid dance moves while they're insulting Bad Bunny and a little bit of Damian Priest, but mostly Bad Bunny, right? And I'm just like, wow. The fact that Miz and Morrison spent all that time preparing, I'll give them credit. They're kind of funny. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Miz and Morrison are kind of funny together. But this whole storyline is ridiculous and it's horrific. You have to remember that this was your WWE champion just 4 weeks ago. Coming out of Fastlane, The Miz was the WWE champion. And now here we are 2-3 weeks later, right? Right before WrestleMania, and the guy is in a bunny suit, looking like a complete jackass. You can't make this stuff up with this company. But you really can't. You know, every time you think they can, you know, beat themselves with how low they've taken and fallen, they just do it more. Do it more. And now my boy Anthony, I should have mentioned this in the opening shoot. My boy Anthony told me that that WWE's now planning on doing a partnership with DraftKings. So now you'll be able to bet on WWE matches and stuff, which is dumb because what would keep Vince McMahon or somebody inside WWE from betting on themselves, right? Say they work in creative and they know what's going to happen in a certain match. What would keep them from betting on themselves, right? So they can make all that profit. And first, you got to remember, WWE's scripted. They're scripted. It's not the NBA. It's not the NFL. This is actual scripted television. So I think that's terrible. To me, it comes off as if, you know, Vince is just trying to set WWE in ways that they'll have money coming in, so that they'll have excuses still. So when Vince meets with the investors and he gives his same corporate answer that he does always do, how we're going to try and work on our storylines and then make an engaging content for our fans to enjoy, right? This is just an excuse that when you see, WWE made more money than ever, right? With WrestleMania and Peacock and now DraftKings and their $1 billion deal with Fox and USA Network. So that they could say, hey, you know, even if our creative's struggling, we're still putting in more money, which is going to make them feel more entitled, which is just going to ruin everything more and more. So, waste of time if you ask me. Waste of time. I just really want to quickly mention that with the DraftKings situation. But, you know, back to the Bad Bunny thing, right? The music video was not good. It was funny. It had some funny parts, but it was not good. It was not enjoyable. It was, like I said, The Miz was your WWE champion a week ago. And this is what you choose to do. Makes sense, right? Makes sense, because WWE is all about celebrities. We have Bad Bunny here on Raw. We have fucking Logan Paul coming on SmackDown. How likely do you think is Logan Paul's going to be involved in something at WrestleMania? Like, come on. They think this is the answer. How it makes engaging storytelling. Something we can get into. That is how you build content. That is how you build your audience up. But we see that Bad Bunny and Damian Priest came out after the video, and the Miz got in Bunny's face, and basically Damian Priest was trying. At first, he was blocking Miz Morrison from him, but instead, then he just let them go, and Bad Bunny clocked to Miz. It was actually, it looked like a real punch. I don't know if Bad Bunny was holding back, but it looked like a real punch. He got him really, really hard right here in the jaw, which, you know, it's always good to see Miz get his ass beat. But anyway, the Bad Bunny took the mic and basically he said that at WrestleMania he's gonna make you his bitch, which Xavier Priest translated. So I don't know. I still think WWE's probably gonna change this into a tag team match, right? Because if they're healthy, if they're healthy. Like, why would you have Morrison and Damian Priest, especially Damian Priest, this being his first WrestleMania? Why wouldn't you keep him on the show? But the storyline is garbage. It's a waste of time. You know, I'm just hoping that Bad Bunny is gone after Mania and we don't got to deal with this anymore. I'm so tired of these celebrity things, bro. So bad. So bad. It was just, this show is so bad, people. So bad. The Miz versus fucking Bad Bunny, bro. Jeez. Next up, let's get moving. We had Alexa Bliss. She cut I'm not gonna lie, Alexa cut a really good promo here. Talking about, Jack in the Box and the Fiend and all that. And then there was this really cool visual when you pan out. You see the Fiend is sitting there next to Alexa Bliss in Alexa's playground. One thing that's interesting is we haven't seen Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt yet. I do miss that guy. I got to see my boy Ribbity Rabbit. All right. All jokes aside, we haven't seen him. So, it'll be interesting. Do we see Mr. Rogers in the Firefly Funhouse next week? Because all we've seen is the burnt Fiend, right? The Fiend that was burnt alive. So I don't know. But I am getting more used to the Fiend's burnt look, as weird as it looks. But, you get used to it. Randy Orton, Alexa's promo was really good here. I'm just ready for this feud to be over. But Randy cut a good promo as well. It's just really Randy Orton basically saying the same thing, like, "Oh, I faced legends like John Cena and The Undertaker and Triple H and all these guys at WrestleMania, right? But I've never faced somebody like The Fiend. The Fiend's not a man. He's an abomination. And at WrestleMania, I will do whatever it takes. I will go deep and deep and deep into the depths of my soul to make sure The Fiend never crosses paths with me again." Right? And it was a good promo. It's just that we've heard Randy Orton basically say the same promo for the last 6 months. So I'm sorry if I'm pretty much tired of it. We've enough's enough. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I'm done. After WrestleMania, this is over. I don't know. I'm still hoping that we see a Firefly Funhouse match, because right now it's advertised as a normal match with The Fiend and Randy Orton. And I'm like, nobody wants to see that. So we'll have to wait and see. It could definitely get changed, but right now, I don't think anybody's interested in seeing The Fiend versus Randy Orton in a normal match, especially with everything that's happened this feud. You're going to blow it off with a normal match? No, do a Firefly Funhouse match. We've seen how great the one with John Cena is. I think you could do even better with Randy Orton here, right? There's so many different things you can do with Randy Orton. So many. So I'm still giving off, a little bit of hope that maybe we get, a Firefly Funhouse match with Randy Orton and The Fiend. But we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, this is absolutely shameful. So we had a game night between the New Day and AJ Styles and Almas, right? So they basically had several games in the ring to try to see how AJ Styles and Almas could test their teamwork skills, because the whole thing they've been doing with this storyline is the New Day are a team. They've been teaming together for the better part of a decade now, right? AJ and Almas have never had a match together. So now the fact that they think they're just going to win this match off of talent, the New Day is set on proving them wrong, especially on the biggest stage of WrestleMania. So basically they had charades, then they had Pictionary, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, you got to be joking. You got to be joking, right? This is what we're doing with a guy like AJ Styles, of all people. AJ Styles, one of the greatest of all time, right? Your WrestleMania match for him. Not only did you wait till the last minute to book his WrestleMania match against the New Day, but the story here is them playing Pictionary and him trying to test his teamwork skills with Almas. That's the story we're doing here. It's a joke. So they had I forgot the New Day drew a rocket ship, right? And AJ drew the sun. And Almas couldn't figure it out, right? And then I think AJ imitated the Lion King, right? And Almas was not able to, figure it out either. Until Almas actually said what we were all thinking. He was like, enough of these games. Where, we don't need to be better at Pictionary and all these other things to beat them at WrestleMania. Which is true, but still, the whole point is they're not a team. You're not a team. You've done nothing to prove to us that you are a team. So then we got the match with Styles and Xavier Woods. Just like I said, right? I said this last week. predictable company. Last week, we got AJ versus Kofi, right? WWE, they're not going to put Almas in a match before WrestleMania. So I was like, all right, next week we're going to get AJ versus Xavier Woods. You know, because we're not going to see Almas. Why would they? So we got the match. The match wasn't bad, right? But it wasn't anything special. So near the end, AJ hit a fireman's carry neckbreaker. Woods responded with a tornado TDT for a close 2 count. But Almas ended up causing disqualification when he attacked Woods and Kofi Kingston. He bench pressed Kingston and then threw him over the barricade and then crushed Woods in the corner while Styles directed traffic. So Styles and Almas look strong here. Not really surprised. You know, it's just the fact that you tried to build this match off of Pictionary. It's a complete joke. It's a complete joke. I understand you want to do this. Oh, AJ and Almas are not a team, but really, this is what you're doing with a guy like AJ Styles of all people. I'm just sitting here and thinking, like, honestly, it should have been AJ versus Edge. That's what I was thinking when I saw this segment. It should have just been Styles versus Edge at Mania. That should have been Styles' match, not whatever the hell this was. But we'll see what happens next week. And that was that. So. We had, oh man, I'm going to try not to get angry, but I probably will. We had Rhea Ripley and Asuka in a contract signing for their Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. And like I said, Charlotte was there at the Thunderdome tonight, but she wasn't on Raw. So right now, she is not, as of right now, as of this recording, she has not yet been added to the Raw Women's Championship match. That could change. But we don't know. Like I said, they could wait till WrestleMania themselves. They could have Rhea Ripley and Asuka in the ring, and they could have Charlotte's entrance music play off. Because I do not believe, I don't care what's going on with Andrade or Charlotte having COVID or anything like that. I am not convinced. You're not going to make me believe that Charlotte is not going to be on the WrestleMania card. No way. No, until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. They could honestly just be waiting for WrestleMania itself just to have Charlotte come out right as the match is about to begin. And then just for them to say, this is a triple threat match. Like, remember they did with the Hardy Boys a couple years ago at WrestleMania 33? They could easily do that here. Wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, the contract signing. I'm going to say something. My boy JDE sent this to me on Twitter. Thank you, as always. And he sent me a lot of stuff. He's always sending me, he messaged me like 20 times a day with messages about Sasha Banks and stuff like that. But it's some good stuff. So make sure you guys go follow JDE on Twitter. His name is OOJDEOO, right? But basically, I'm going to save the Sasha stuff for probably the SmackDown review. But the big thing I wanted is something that Stone Cold Steve Austin said, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the all-time greats, was arguably the greatest WWE superstar of all time, the face of the Attitude Era, defined a whole generation. So Steve Austin was asked about what he thinks about Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. And we all know Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, they have big matches at WrestleMania. Some people are comparing it to John Cena and Batista from WrestleMania 21. And I'm like, no. Because John Cena and Batista were built up for those moments. Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair have not been built up properly. You're just putting them in these roles, and you think just having them win a title is going to fix everything. It doesn't. It's not going to fix the women's division. It's not going to do justice for their character. It doesn't. They haven't earned anything. I know you guys don't want me to go off again like I did last week talking about how Rhea Ripley did nothing to earn a Raw Women's Championship opportunity. But anyway, right? So, where is it? So here it is, and I quote, "Another Attitude Era legend, Stone Cold Steve Austin, had nothing but positive words to say about both women when speaking to Bleacher Report in a recent interview. He said, and I quote, "I haven't been tuning in a whole lot because I have a whole lot going on in my personal life. But just from watching the Royal Rumble, I think those last two women, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, I think those two are destined for greatness. They still need reps. There's the key phrase. They still need reps, and they still need to learn. But those two have the size, the presence, the looks, ability to be major stars. So we'll see what the future holds for them. Yeah. Let's get this clear. Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair have everything. They have all the tools to be the future of the women's division. You guys know this. I've said this. I'm fans of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. But it's one thing for me, just to be a random podcaster, a random guy in Boston, to be saying, oh, they're not ready. You're rushing it. You're rushing it. You're putting them in spots that they're not ready for. You're expecting them to become faces of the women's division when you haven't done a good job of introducing them to the WWE universe. You haven't done a good job of letting them show their skills and abilities. You can't just put them in these matches and just be like, boom. No. You have Stone Cold Steve Austin, a Hall of Fame legend, saying what I've been saying now for months. For months. He says they still need reps. They still need to learn. So if a legend is saying that, there has to be some credibility to it, right? There has to be some level of credibility to it. And it's like, bro, like, come on, guys. You guys can't be blind. You guys expect Rhea and Bianca to win at WrestleMania, and that's going to solve everything when it's not. When it's not. Just giving them a title is not what makes them stars. It's what's going to be what they do after winning those titles. And WWE has not done a good job with Sasha and Asuka as champions. So you expect them to be booked better than Sasha and Asuka were as champions? Because I don't. We know how Vince is. Vince likes what's comfortable. Why do you think Roman Reigns has been on the top for so long? Because Vince is comfortable with Roman Reigns. He's comfortable with Seth Rollins. He's comfortable with the Four Horsewomen. Come on. So what? How likely is it in a couple months that potentially we see a report from Vince McMahon and Vince says, oh, he's lost faith, or he doesn't care about Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair, or they're missing something, just like he said about Keith Lee. Because remember, Keith Lee was supposed to be pushed to the top. We all thought that Keith Lee was going to have a big WrestleMania match for the WWE Championship, or go up against, like a Brock Lesnar, right? No, Keith Lee's probably not even going to be on the WrestleMania card. I know he's injured, but we've already heard the reports. Vince McMahon sent Keith Lee back to the Performance Center for more training. Keith Lee, of all people. So how do you guys think it's not likely that they could do the same thing with Bianca and Rhea Ripley? Come on, guys. Use your heads. You have a legend, an all-time legend, sitting here telling you that they're not ready. That's basically what Stone Cold is saying. They still need to learn. They still need reps. Translated, they're not ready yet. They need more time. Right? I've been saying, have Sasha retain. Right? Have Asuka retain. And then make SummerSlam the WrestleMania 21 moment. Have SummerSlam be the big moment for for Bianca and Rhea Ripley. Because by then, they'll be a little more ready. Because people are going to want to see a rematch with Sasha and Bianca. People are probably going to want to see a rematch with Rhea Ripley and Asuka no matter what happens. So why not make this a long-term story? Why not make the journey more fulfilling at the end? At SummerSlam, when it's going to be more satisfying, see Bianca get that big moment, right? Because then you'll be more invested into her, and then you'll care more. You guys think that I just want Rhea Ripley and Bianca not to succeed. I want to see them succeed. But you're not setting them up to succeed by rushing their push. You're not. They're not ready. You guys need to understand how much pressure you're putting on these two women to just step up and be ready to take this company by storm. When the Four Horsewomen were introduced to the main roster, were they pushed down our throats right away? The only one that was pushed down our throats was Charlotte, because they gave Charlotte the Divas Championship right away. Sasha didn't win the Raw Women's title for the first time nearly a year later. Because remember, they debuted in, the fall of 2015. It was a couple weeks before SummerSlam. Sasha didn't win the Raw Women's Championship for the first time till, the first Raw after the brand split back in 2016 in June. Like what? Becky didn't win the SmackDown Women's Championship till a whole year later on SmackDown. What was it? I think it was No Mercy in that, that 6-pack challenge. She did, Bayley didn't win the Raw Women's Championship for the first time till a couple weeks before WrestleMania. The only one of the 4 horsewomen that was stuffed down our throats and was pushed to the moon right away was Charlotte because she was a Flair. And you guys have already seen how that's resulted. We're all tired of Charlotte Flair. Most of us don't even want to see Charlotte on the WrestleMania card. Here we are. We're more worried about Bayley not being on the WrestleMania card than Charlotte. If Charlotte's on the WrestleMania card, we're not going to care. Charlotte's had WrestleMania moments. She's had 3 already. She won the Women's Championship at 32, which Sasha should have won, right? She beat Asuka's streak to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 34, which she should have never won, right? And then she beat Rhea Ripley last year. All you guys keep comparing Rhea Ripley and Asuka, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. You keep comparing them to Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Charlotte should have never won that match to begin with. She should have never won that match to begin with. And that's what pisses me off. It pisses me off. Rhea Ripley, she lost to Charlotte last year. Even though she shouldn't have, she did. And then she just waltzes in onto the main roster and she's gifted a Raw Women's Championship opportunity for doing nothing. She didn't win the Women's Royal Rumble. She didn't do anything to earn that opportunity. She didn't win a tournament. She didn't win a Battle Royal. She did nothing. But y'all just want her to be pushed to the moon. I'm not saying Bianca and Rhea aren't the future. I think Rhea and Bianca could be the John Cena and Batista from WrestleMania 21. I love both women, but WrestleMania is not the time. It's not the time. You are rushing it. And I'm telling you, if she wins, they're not going to book Bianca and Rhea as credible champions. They can't do it for Sasha and Asuka. Becky's title reign was not good. I will keep reminding you guys that till the day we die. Bayley's title reign was only good because she had Sasha by her side, and we were all waiting for the Sasha and Bayley breakup. It's been a long time. The last good women's title reign, in my opinion, was Ronda Rousey's. I honestly think that. Because Ronda actually had credible matches, credible feuds, and I loved Ronda as champion. She defended her title on a timely basis. Remember, she would defend her title on pay-per-view, and she would defend it the next night. That's crazy. And I would love to see Ronda back, because I feel like she would make the women's division more important. It would force WWE to look at the women's division and be like, we need to get to work. We can't mess around with somebody like Ronda Rousey. Honestly, I'm telling you, Rhea and Bianca Belair, they are the Batista and John Cena from 2005. But WrestleMania is not the stage that give them their crowning moment. Their crowning moment needs to take place at SummerSlam. That's when you do it. Have a little bit of patience. Give us more time to get invested with them. Let's see them struggle a little bit. And then when SummerSlam comes around, boom. Then they're ready. Then they're ready to take over this division and carry the company from SummerSlam all the way to WrestleMania 38. That's what you need to do. So stop with this stuff in the comment section, guys. Honestly, if Stone Cold Steve Austin is saying it, that means you definitely got to think other superstars and other legends are thinking the same thing. It's not just me. It's not just me being biased about Sasha. No. If other legends are saying that they're not ready, they need more time, they need more reps, there's got to be some kind of credibility towards it. You have legends, some of the greatest of all time are saying what I'm saying on here. So come on, people, use your brains. Use your brains. Oh, man. You know, it felt really good to get that out, and I just want to give a shout out to JDE once again, man. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. OOJDEOO. All right, really good article. I'm really glad that he sent that to me. I was able to bring it up on the podcast because y'all think that I'm just, spitting things out my ass. Like, no, there's actual levels to this. You have legends saying this stuff. It's not just me. So either way, man, I hated this contract signing. It was shortened to the point. And I don't know if you guys saw, there was a funny moment backstage with Asuka and what was it, Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle forgot his lines. He was talking to Asuka about I think scooters in Japan, and they were like, "Are there scooters in Japan?" So Asuka like, "Yeah." And Riddle completely forgot his line, and on live TV he's like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot what I was saying." It was such a weird moment, right? And he just scoots off, and Asuka's like, whoa. And then, you could hear even Tom Phillips on commentary was like, and they had to keep going with the show because it's live TV. But it was a hilarious moment, man. Hilarious. And it also shows that WWE needs to stop scripting their superstars. Let these superstars beat themselves more so they don't have moments like that when they're forgetting their lines on live TV. So after this, we saw... what we saw? We saw the contract signing, right? And Asuka basically said, "You're good, but you're not ready for me, right? You are overconfident." Right, as Asuka said. And I liked how Asuka brought that up. Because Rhea said, yes, I am overconfident. But my confidence did get me a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania, right? You know what Asuka should have said right there? Asuka should have said, yes, it did. But you did the same thing last year. Remember, it was Rhea Ripley who challenged Charlotte last year on Raw. Charlotte didn't go to NXT. Rhea came to Charlotte. Rhea came to Raw. She challenged Charlotte. She was the one that was saying, "You face me at WrestleMania. Pick me." She made the decision for her. Because remember, then Charlotte attacked Rhea at that NXT takeover when it was Rhea versus Bianca Belair. So if I'm Asuka, I was like, yeah, you're overconfident. You did the same thing last year when you were NXT champion and you lost. And the same thing's going to happen to you again this year. That's what I would have said if I was Asuka. I hated how WWE let that line go. Like, they just didn't mention it. I hate that, man. That's good story material that they let go out the window. But either way, then there was a point where basically Asuka kept saying, "You're not ready for me." And this is the part that got me pissed. Rhea takes the contract signing table, right? And she bulldozes Asuka with it. And Asuka, if you look at it, it actually hit Asuka in the face really hard. And you guys just know Asuka did just recover from a concussion. So I'm just like, I don't know if I blame it more on Rhea, because you got to know in those situations to be careful where you're flinging the table, right? Because Asuka actually looked like she was knocked out of it for a little bit. And then Shayna Bazer comes out and Nia Jax, and you have that fool Reginald with them. And Shayna's like, we haven't got a match at WrestleMania. We've been dominating the women's division. And I hate saying this, but they're kind of right. Shayna and Nia have been pretty dominant. As much as I hate Nia Jax, I can't sit here and lie to you guys. I got to do my job as a podcaster and be a little objective. And they've been booked pretty strongly. So, Shayna coming out and complaining that they have no match for WrestleMania, it's kind of true. It's kind of facts. So Shayna comes out and basically Shayna was like, "I'm going to teach you a lesson, Rhea Ripley, and show you why this is our division." And remember, Rhea and Shayna do have history. Remember, Rhea was the one that ended Shayna's year-long title reign as NXT Women's Champion. All right. But it's whatever. It's whatever. But basically, the challenge was made for a tag team match next week, and you have Asuka on the ground, and Rhea Ripley's like, "Yes, next week, the two of you versus the two of us." So Rhea just attacked Asuka, and now Rhea's making matches for Asuka. If the situations were reversed, that's different, because Asuka is the champion. This is your division. You let things fly. Right? You state what's going down around here. But instead, you have Rhea making matches for Asuka, the champion, and Asuka sitting there like a little lapdog, not getting up. I'm just like, that's what we're doing here? Really? And if I'm Asuka, why the hell would I want to team with Rhea Ripley after she attacked me? After you just attacked me with a table, possibly giving me a concussion, and now you expect me to just sit there and team with you again? No. No. If I'm Asuka next week, Asuka needs to beat the hell out of Rhea Ripley next week. That's what we need to see. Because Rhea got she got her hits in tonight. Asuka got to remind Rhea that, I'm the champion. The same way a couple weeks ago, Asuka beat the crap out of Shayna Bazer. I need Asuka to do that to Rhea Ripley next week. And remind Rhea Ripley, like, this is my division. I'm the champion. You don't come here to say how things go down. I do this. This is my job. Like, come on. So anyway, I just sent that quick text message. But like you guys see, man, like you cannot have Asuka looking like that with Rhea Ripley. So hopefully next week they do the right thing and make Rhea Ripley get her ass beat by Asuka. You can't do that to your champion. You can't. You can't. But I did not like how they did that segment this week. Hopefully they fix it next week with Asuka looking strong, because you can't be doing that to your champion. But anyway, we then had freaking Shayna Bazer versus Naomi. Naomi rolled up Shayna Bazer. Who cares? Like, we know that it's most likely going to be Lana and Naomi, probably Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, right? And maybe like the Riot Squad go up against Baszler and Jax for the tag titles. It's probably gonna be a fatal 4-way. Now I have no care to see it. I just hope if they do that match, that the Riot Squad get a WrestleMania moment. You know, like how a couple years ago when Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, the Iconics, when the Iconics were still together, remember how they beat Sasha and Bayley at Mania? I hope the Riot Squad get that moment this year. You guys know how high I've been on the Riot Squad, and it sucks that they haven't gotten their moment yet. But last but not least, we had Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre. So McIntyre stormed the locker room, and I actually enjoyed this. McIntyre storms the locker room like, hey, Bobby Lashley's offering a WWE Championship match to anybody that takes me out. So take your best shot. It's WrestleMania season, damn it. If I was still a heel, right? If I was that evil bastard I was a couple years ago, I would definitely take that opportunity. So why won't anybody step up? And I love how McIntyre's like going to everybody, because it shows that Drew is the number one babyface on Raw, right? And he is probably the number one babyface in the entire company outside of Sasha Banks, right? Even though Sasha's playing a tweener right now, but you guys get my point. I love how Drew, he goes up to Braun Strowman. Strowman's like, I'll deal with you after I finish with Shane McMahon, right? He goes up to Matt Riddle. Riddle's like, bro, nah, I got to deal with Sheamus, and that's a struggle right now. And so I love how Drew's going to everybody in the locker room. He threw like Roberto Carrillo around like a rag doll. He hit Drew Gulak with a what was it? Headbutt, and then Ricochet said, I'm not like that, If I'm gonna, take you out, I'm gonna do it the fair and square way in the ring. And McIntyre said he respect that. And then we got McIntyre versus Ricochet. So McIntyre won the match. The match was good. It was good, but McIntyre won with a Claymore kick. Ricochet sold it beautifully. It's just good that Ricochet's wrestling in pants again. He's not wearing wrestling tights. He was actually wearing wrestling, pants. So I was happy to see Ricochet in pants, man. But it just sucks that Ricochet has nothing to do for WrestleMania. He's probably going to be in the Battle Royal if they have that on, for WrestleMania this year. But still, he sold the Claymore kick beautifully, and Drew gets the win. So then Ali came in. So it was like Ali was now taking his shot at McIntyre, and then Ali hit a Claymore, or no, McIntyre hit a Claymore on Mustafa Ali, and that's how he got the win here. So McIntyre wrestling twice in one night. So they're making they're telling you that, McIntyre's not going to let anybody take him out. He's not going to let anybody take his WWE Championship opportunity away from him. So then Bobby Lashley comes out, And Lashley cuts a really good promo. Lashley's like, I didn't need anybody to take you out. So I'm just like, then why did you do this to begin with? Why did you do this to begin with? Because you have Lashley and McIntyre staring each other down. And, still they started brawling with each other. And then I turned off the show when King Corbin came out. Nobody gives a shit about Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin comes out. He attacked McIntyre from behind. And it allowed Lashley to apply the Hurt Lock 3 times. So basically, I know where this is going. We're going to have Baron Corbin versus McIntyre most likely next week. And the fact that Baron Corbin is involved in the WWE Championship feud shows how bad this is. I have no desire to see Baron Corbin on SmackDown. So now you're forcing me to watch him on Monday Night Raw. Absolutely unbearable. I will not watch that main event next week. I will not waste my time. I will watch the highlights. Really. I have no desire to see Baron Corbin. And it's sad that out of all the people you could have chose to have, team up with Lashley, you have Baron Corbin. That shows how much this company sucks. Really. Right? First off, you don't need Lashley teaming up with anybody. He's fucking Bobby Lashley. But the fact that he chose Baron Corbin just made things worse, if you ask me. But other than that, that's what they're doing. So it was just really the exclamation point on a terrible show where there was absolutely nothing of substance. And it's disappointing because here we are, right? 2 weeks to go to WrestleMania, and there is absolutely nothing to be excited on the Raw side of things. This show was absolutely unbearable. Easily probably the worst show of the year outside of Raw Legends Night back in January. But it's just disappointing that this is really what we're getting. For real, man. Just being honest, it's just disappointing and sad as a WWE fan to see that this is the build we're actually getting. It's one thing to bitch and moan, but if we're being honest with ourselves, man, it's just awful. It truly is just awful, right? But other than that, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys stayed for the entire review. If you guys did, leave a like on the video, comment down below. Try not to be toxic with your comments today, especially when it comes to the women's division, right? Because if I see anything stupid, I'm just going to block you guys and, keep your comments hidden. Because nobody got time to entertain that kind of nonsense. But other than that, thank you guys for everything. Hit the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, if you guys are new to the channel, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Make sure to go check out the SmackDown review if you guys haven't already, right? I'll see you guys later, man. I'll keep you guys updated with all things WrestleMania. You guys stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.